Okay, thank you all again for joining us. My name is Sarah Powell, and before we get started, I do want to thank you all for joining us. I know that everybody has a busy schedule, so I appreciate you taking your time to learn about this new regulation. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to send them via the Q&A button on your screen, and I will answer all the questions that I have at the end of the presentation. If for some reason I don't know the answer, I will research it and get back to you via email. I have muted all of the phone lines, so hopefully we don't hear any distractions throughout this presentation. If for some reason you can't hear me, you could send that via the Q&A, and I will see what we can do. But I think that we can now begin. Most of us, I believe, are online here. So today we are here to talk about the new Bay Area Commuter Benefits Program requirements and what you need to do in order to comply with these requirements. We will also discuss who is considered to be a covered employer, as well as who is then a covered employee. We'll also talk about what options you have under this new program. Basically, the Bay Area Commuter Benefits Program is a new mandate that's been imposed by the Metropolitan Transportation Commission and the Bay Area Quality Management District. It became effective on March 26, 2014, with full compliance needed by September 30th, 2014. It's currently considered to be a pilot program and is set to expire on December 30th, 2016, unless legislature acts to extend that date. Bay Area employers are subject to this program if you employ an average of 50 or more full-time employees within the boundaries of the district, and we'll talk about those boundaries here in just a moment. A full-time employee is defined by the regulation as an employee who completes an average of at least 30 hours a week work, but you are able to exclude your seasonal employees and your temporary employees. Covered employers must offer this program to all employees who work at least 20 hours a week within the geographical boundaries of the Air District. So you can see on the slide that I'm on the counties that are covered by this district. And if you have 50 or more full-time employees that work within these areas, you do need to be compliant with this program. If you are an employer with 50 employees but only a portion of them work within this covered area, you only need to count those that are working within these counties listed on this slide. There are three main steps that must be completed in order to comply with this new program. Step 1, you must offer one of the 4 available commuter benefit options to your covered employees. We will discuss each of these options in more detail here shortly. Step 2, you must offer your covered employees, you must notify your covered employees about the benefit program that you're going to offer. And step 3, you must register with the program. And as you can see from the slide, the URL that we have is listed here. That's where you would register with the program. All of these steps must be completed prior to September 30th, 2014 in order for you to be compliant. If you already have a compliant program, such as our Section 132 Commuter Reimbursement Program, you will still need to register with the program. You will also need to make sure that you are communicating your program to your covered employees. Just because you have a program set up doesn't mean anything if you are not letting them know that it is available to them. This program is designed to decrease motor vehicle travel and traffic congestion and reduce emissions of greenhouse gases and other air pollutants. This is because in the Bay Area, transportation is the largest source of air pollution, and obviously we want to try to reduce that. Here's a specific list of all of the reasons why they want to, but as I mentioned, it's generally just to reduce all of the emissions that we have. There are 4 options given under this new program, and during the next couple of slides we're going to discuss each of those options for you. Option 1 is a pre-tax benefit. This is the kind of plan that Pension Dynamics has administered for our clients for many years. It is a pre-tax salary reduction which employees can elect to participate in if they have eligible expenses. They can elect up to $130 per month for their transit or van pooling expenses. This includes their BART, their Muni, ferries, any type of local transportation. It does not include tolls. This plan reduces taxable income of the employees, and it also reduces the taxes paid by the employer. The monthly limit is currently set at $130. It is set by the federal government and is subject to change at any time. We would, of course, announce any changes as they occur. Option 2 is an employer-provided subsidy. This is an option that an employer can make a subsidy to an employee of up to $75 under the regulations. Of course, you could go above and beyond that $75 and do up to the maximum of $130, which the IRS allows, but anything over $130 would have to be taxable. The subsidy would not be a taxable item to employees, so they do not pay income taxes or payroll taxes, and employers also do not pay payroll taxes on any subsidy given. Again, as long as it was under $130 IRS regulation, and this regulation says that you only have to give up to a maximum of $75. Option 3, the employer-provided transit. For this option, an employer can provide free or low-cost transit services for employees, such as a bus, shuttle, or van pool services. We often hear in the media such employers such as Google offer these types of services, and it is a great service for larger employers, because providing transportation for employees can be an expensive option, but it's a great way to reduce the number of vehicles on the road each day. And then there's option number 4, which is an alternative commuter benefit. This option, employers may propose an alternative commuting benefit, which would then have to be approved by the Air District Management. The benefit would have to be effective in reducing single occupancy commute trips or vehicle emissions as any of the other 3 options that we've already outlined. The Air District would then evaluate and approve any alternative commuter benefit proposed by the employer. This is probably the best option for employers that are located in areas that are not well served by transit. This option provides a way for you to promote things such as carpooling, walking, telecommuting, compressed work week schedules, or promoting the use of electronic vehicles by employees. There's a URL listed on this website or on this slide, which would give you more information about this option. Again, this option would have to have prior approval from the program in order for it to qualify. So if you do not already have a benefit set up to help you comply with this program, Pension Dynamics can assist you with our pre-tax Section 132 Commuter Reimbursement Program. With the Commuter Reimbursement Program, we'll help you adopt a compliant program, including a plan document and educational materials for your employees. We will also provide you with enrollment forms and anything else you need to make the plan work. This includes establishing a bank account for issuing reimbursements to your employees. Although a plan document is not required for a Section 132 plan, it is highly recommended that you have one because it lays out exactly what a participant should expect when electing this benefit. Since this is a pre-tax benefit, both the employee and the employer will save taxes on every dollar that runs through the plan. If you already offer a Section 125 FSA plan, you may understand how dependent daycare elections work, and this plan is similar to that. The benefit is dollar in for dollar out, so an employee can only be reimbursed the amount that is in their account. And this minimizes any risk to the employer. Within the implementation, we will provide you an enrollment handbook for the program, and we will distribute this, and then you will distribute this handbook to the eligible employees. The handbook explains in basic language the plan in detail so that the employees can understand what they're electing. It also includes calculators to help them see how much they are saving so that they can understand how the plan works. If you would like, Pension Dynamics can also come to your office up to once per year to communicate this benefit to your employees, and this is especially helpful the first year of implementation, so employees can really understand what it is that they're electing. Once you have communicated the plan, employees are eligible to start enrolling. In order to enroll, they would complete the enrollment form found in the provided handbook. Elections are always effective the first of the month following the date of election. This means if the form is completed and returned to Human Resources on June 29th, the enrollment will be effective July 1st. However, if it is not completed until July 2nd, it will be effective August 1st. This benefit, unlike the FSA, is normally set up to be a monthly benefit, which means that the employee can elect to change their elections every month if they wanted to, as long as they complete the form prior to the first of the next month. So if someone goes on vacation, say, they would be able to stop their election knowing that they're not going to incur as much for that month. Then they could start it up again the next month once they return from their vacation. Once an employee completes the election form, the employer elects the deductions into the payroll system, and if you don't already have the plan set up, you might need to work with your payroll provider to set up a pre-tax deduction code for this new benefit. Deductions can be set up to be taken evenly over all pay periods in the month, or you can set it up so that the full election is taken the first pay period of each month. We just need to determine this prior to setup so that it states it in the plan documents. If you have a biweekly pay periods, we would recommend one deduction per month, so each month is handled consistently. Once deductions have been set up in your payroll system, you'll forward a copy of the election form to Pension Dynamics for us to process in our system as well. Each pay period, you will then send us a list of the deductions that were taken, and we will set up a transfer of those funds into our bank account we've established for you. At that point, we will post those funds to the participants' bank accounts or accounts on our system, and that way employees can get their reimbursements. Employees will then send us a completed request for reimbursement form, which is also included in their handbook, and this they will also be given instructions for completing this document online via our website or via a paper form. Employees do not need to submit a copy of the receipt to us. However, we do recommend that they keep a copy in case they are audited in the future. It is rare, but it does happen from time to time, and you want to be able to prove that you have the pre-tax deductions, or the reasons for the pre-tax deductions, I should say. Reimbursements are based on the amount already deducted from the employee's account, unlike the medical FSA program. Upon termination, employees have 90 days to submit claims incurred while they were an active employee. Any funds that were not claimed during that 90-day period are forfeited back to the employer. You can also establish that there could be a cash-out policy. However, we don't recommend that necessarily. If you do a cash-out, you would need to tax them on it so that it is now taxable income. If you are setting up a pre-tax benefit, such as one that we just discussed, the regulations state that you don't have to have a formal plan document. However, they do state that you should have documentation of many different areas of the plan. The documents that we provide will meet all of these regulations if you decide to implement a plan with us. You will need to determine who the plan sponsor is, such as if you have more than one company. Do you want both companies to be covered under the same plan, or do you want a separate plan set up for each of your two companies? Who do you want to participate? Although the Bay Area program says that if you offer it to employees working 20 hours, do you want to offer those who work less? Maybe those who work 8 hours. They're still taking the bus to your office, so why not allow them to also get pre-tax benefits for this plan? Also, do you want them to be able to elect as soon as they are hired so that they can enroll the first of the next month? Or do you want them to have a 30-day waiting period? Do you want to offer all the options under a Section 132 plan? The Bay Area program only discusses transit expenses, but you could also offer a parking reimbursement program of up to $250 a month currently. Would you like to add that as an extra option? Instead of having terminated employees forfeit their funds, do you also want them to have that cash out option that I just mentioned? And as I already stated, normally this is a monthly benefit. However, you could do it participation to be done on a quarterly basis or possibly an annual basis. Would you want to minimize the ability to make changes? Do you want a minimum amount that someone could elect? Oh, I think I got one slide ahead of myself. Sorry. Would you like a minimum amount that somebody could elect, such as $20? And that it doesn't make sense maybe for somebody to be on the plan if they elect less than that. Do you say claims can only be submitted electronically? Who's going to administer this plan? Will it be done in-house, or will there be a TPA? If you hire a TPA, what functions will the employer do, and what functions will that third-party administrator perform for you? All of these items need to be handled in the plan documents, and that should be set up that should all be done prior to completion of the plan setup. On top of that, there are other documents and forms that will need to be in place in order to run the pre-tax reimbursement program. Pension Dynamics will also handle these if you elect to have us administer your plans. Some of the forms listed here can be combined into one, such as the election form and the compensation reduction agreement. We will provide you with all of these items upon setup or as needed throughout the administration. Some of you may be aware that there's already some local ordinances that you may have to be following currently. The new Bay Area program was just discussed, covers employers with 50 or more employees in those areas covered by the program. However, certain areas within this district area already have a lower threshold. If you're in one of these areas, you will need to still comply with these lower requirements. And here, slide 27 shows you a list of these areas. So the City and County of San Francisco, if you have 20 or more employees nationwide, you already have to have some kind of a commuter program in place. And that's been since January 19th, 2009. In the City of Richmond or the City of Berkeley, it's 10 employees or more nationwide. Again, our Bay Area program is 50 employees within the covered area, but as you can see, these other local ordinances are that if you have nationwide employees and only one within the City of Richmond, but you have 12 who are in the state of Wisconsin, you still have to offer a covered plan to that one person that's in the City of Richmond. So that wraps up the information on this webinar. I hope that you learned a lot. Here's my contact information on slide 28. You can feel free to email me if you have any questions. I'm going to stay on the line for a moment or two to see if any questions come through the Q&A. I do have a couple already, so I will look at those, and if you can hold on for just 1 second, I will check those and get back to you with some questions and answers. Okay, thank you for holding. The majority of our questions are regarding if you're going to get copies of the slides distributed after the webinar. And yes, we would definitely will. I thought that they had maybe gone out already, but I will make sure that everybody who is in attendance gets a copy of the slides. The next question is regarding temporary employees. Yes, temporary employees are able to be excluded from this program. There is a definition for temporary employees. Let me see if I can put my hand on that really quickly. A seasonal or temporary employee is considered to be an employee who works 120 or fewer days per year. Seasonal temporary employees who work 120 or fewer days per year are not covered by the program unless the employer voluntarily chooses to include them. So you would be able to you do not have to count any temporary employees who would fall under that definition. My next question that I have is regarding private schools, and are private schools exempt from this benefit? Unfortunately, at this time, private schools are not exempt from this benefit. So you would need to, if you have 50 or more employees and you are within the air district, you would need to comply with this program. I have just been told that the slides were attached to the reminder email that was sent out. And next I have a question, defining your own carpool. 2 or 3 employees, the number of days per week. I do believe that is covered in the ordinance. I would have to look into that, and I can take down the person that asked that and find out the answer and get back to you regarding that one. If no one, the next question is, what if no one signs up for the program? And that's a great question. Sorry I did not state this already. You are not actually required to have anybody sign up for the program. You are required just to put the program in place and to communicate it to your employees. So if you do not have anybody that elects to participate, it's not at a fault to yourself. It could be that you don't have anybody that commutes, and even though you are putting this plan in place, they still are not going to change their habits. You can't force them to change their habits. So regulations just state that you need to assist them in their commuting if they would like to. The next question is, if they already have a current option, if they're offering a current option that is compliant with one of these options, are they compliant with the law? And the answer is that you are partially compliant with the law. You would still need to register with the program. Okay, so there is, if you go to 511.org, and I can go back to the slide where that is on, you will need to register with them and tell them what exactly program it is that you're offering, and then on a yearly basis you will have to re-register with them. Sorry. It's here, commuterbenefits.511.org is where you would register with the program. Next question is that it's noted that there are federal limits to these plans, $130 for transit and $250 for parking, and that they're set by the federal government. And the question is, how often do they make the changes, and when does that normally happen? And normally that it happens on a yearly basis most of the time, and we are normally notified about it sometime September, October, November, and then it's usually effective the first of the year, January 1st. However, there have been times in the past that we have gotten mid-year changes and sometimes retroactive changes. So we will always notify you when those happen, and although we can try to say that it will be a yearly, please note that it may be more than that. And I have a couple more questions. Give me a moment just to read some of these again. Someone has asked if they already have a program, they communicate the program to all new employees and at a new employee orientation, do they have to send out a new specific notification of the program? And the answer to that is no. However, you should also sign up or notify employees about this benefit on a yearly basis as well. So although you're telling them when they are at new hire orientation, an employee who doesn't need it at that time may not remember that it is available to them, say 6 months to a year down the line, when their circumstances have changed and they are now using the program. So you would want to communicate it to them at least on a yearly basis. And then I have a question. It looks like so far it is the last question currently. In terms of registering with 511.org, do we have to use exact data because the number of participants changes from month to month for our company? To be honest, I have not had to do any registration yet with 511.org, so I can't tell you exactly the process. But from my understanding of how it's going to be, you will be telling them an average number of participants for the year when you're doing a yearly reporting. So that's my understanding at this time. However, further clarification may come out when we first have to do the registration. And let's see, I've gotten a couple more questions. So when the government makes changes on the limits, will you send out a notice to all about the changes? We send out a notice to all of our clients that have Section 132 plans with us. If you are registered and we administer your Section 132 plans, we do notify all of those clients of any changes for those plans. Okay, I have a couple people who are stating that they've gotten the webinar. The slides were received in the reminder email that was sent out on 5/22. However, then some people have stated that they were attached, but they did not get the attachment. So I will have those resent to those people who are telling me that they do not have them. Just to make sure that you did receive them. And anybody else that would like to get another copy of them, please send me an email to spowell@pensiondynamics.com, and I will make sure that you also all receive a copy of the attachments. I'm going to hang out on the line here for just another moment or two in case there's any other questions that come in. But otherwise, I think that wraps up our program. Thank you for joining us today.